Boom. And
okay, here we are.
We are live. So we're going to let John share the link for anybody who wants to watch.
Okay, and I'm going to share it as well to a few groups that I run.
Yeah, and I already threw it into the Facebook chat that we had.
Cool. And if anybody, there it is. If anybody's had any questions, you can go into the comment section on your screen. And it's a balmy 85 degrees down in Dallas, Texas. Right now, It's about 39 degrees Fahrenheit up here in Canada. It's freezing, but we're going to warm the place up and make things get a little bit hot here. We got a gentleman by the name of Chris Fritchie. Did I say it right? Ritchie?
You did. You got it right.
All the way from Dallas area. Now, I just want two things I want to bring up before we get into this, Chris. One, I saw your posts in the Box Facebook group where there's a million members, and I noticed this guy. Well, there's two things about your posts. You were pretty assertive and confident.
Yeah, I tend to be that way.
Yeah, and it's all good. I respect that. And then the other thing is, too, it's the topic itself, which is AI and applying it into your studio. And I'm reminded back in the days of 1998 when I went and took some Photoshop courses. I knew Photoshop. I knew digital was coming, and that was a game changer above all game changers.
Right.
And I see AI sort of, maybe not to that degree, but I see, well, it would be to that degree or more so if it totally eliminated all photographers. That would be tragic. So I'd have to open up a hot dog stand or something.
Right.
Do something or get a real job. But I want to know, I'm always curious as to trends, what's going on, technology, but more specifically, I don't care about technology if it doesn't apply to my studio and doesn't help me make money. And that's the area. I want to get into that and some of the posts and some of the content and some of the stuff you have to share with us, Chris. But
absolutely.
Before we get into that, give us 1 minute, the overview as to your history. What got you into photography? Sure. And, just a minute maximum, just so we get an understanding.
I'll do it real quick because nobody, I'm the only one who really likes to hear me talk about myself. So, I started photography as a hobby probably 20 years ago, like we all did. I actually started it when I had a landscape business. So I didn't want to pay a professional photographer, and I needed images for our website and portfolio and such. So I said, heck, I'll just go buy a nice camera. And I, it was pretty instinctive and intuitive to me just because I was designing landscapes. So composition and that kind of stuff has just always been very intuitive. And then I put it away and we moved back here and I went into corporate America and I hated that. So I started shooting bands when my daughter wanted to learn how to do photojournalism in high school. And I got the bug and started shooting some bands at a local venue on Friday and Saturday nights. In exchange, they give me a gift card and would keep it full, and I'd let them use the images. And then I got burned out on corporate America and such. And there was a local magazine that I loved, and I really wanted access to some of the big bands, some of the big venues. And I tried to make a deal with them to shoot. And if they would get me press passes, then I would give them the images and I would do some additional shoots for them. And long story short, there was a day that one of my best friends, probably my best friend, ran an IT company, and I was working for him, kind of running sales. And I said, man, I just can't do this. I cannot. I don't know what I'm going to do, but this is not it. I cannot sell IT. And so I said, okay, I'm done. He says, okay, we'll just try to wrap things up in 2 weeks. And I said, I don't think you understand. I'm done now. And I'm literally walking out the door, and the magazine calls me and says, hey, you still interested in doing some shooting for us? And I said, yeah. And they go, well, we need you to go shoot Miss Texas tomorrow.
Nice.
I'm like, okay. At that point, I didn't have a clue what I was doing, but I went and did it. And I said, the only way you'll get the images is if the publisher interviews me. And so he did. He hired me, and I was there 8 years as a photographer for a local magazine. So I've got 150 covers, thousands of published images.
Nice.
And eventually, I got tired of that, and we were butting heads because I was trying to get more creative and grow like we all do as photographers. And they had specific things they wanted to do. So I tried to keep it under a minute. I jumped off, and for a year, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do photography. And and then I fell back in love with it when we started doing our Santa program. And this is our 9th year. We found a little space that we had borrowed for a commercial shoot, and we made a low budget, $low offer to rent the space out. And that's what began the magic of Santa. And after that took off, that's kind of where we've ended up today. where now
Cool.
I've got my master artist degree, my master photographer degree. I need one merit to get my craftsman degree. So
Cool.
so that's where we are today.
So you have a studio right now, John. Maybe you could show his website if you want, while he's talking away.
Yeah,
I
I'll
just
go
want to
find it.
dwell on this subject for another.
And
30 seconds.
it would be remiss if I didn't mention that about 3 years ago, right after the Parkland shooting in Florida, my wife was a high school assistant principal, and I said, that's enough. It freaks me out too much, you going to school. And so she joined the studio. So now we are definitely a strong team. So it's both of us in here, and she's just as important in this thing that we do as I am.
Cool. So your mom and pop studio, you have a home studio or a commercial space?
Commercial space. Yes.
Nice.
Just
So
off the square in our downtown district.
So you negotiated. I just want to ask a quick question about the magazine that you shot for.
Uh-huh.
You said you negotiated an interview. You do them if they give you an interview. They had to interview you? Is that
Yes.
what you meant?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was when I kept trying to get a hold of the owner to let me do photography for them. And at the time, I just wanted to use their name to get press passes.
Yeah.
And so they called me on the day I quit my job, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And they wanted me to do this shoot. And I said, I'll go do it. But the only way I'll give you the images is when the publisher interviews me.
Yeah.
Just to see if I could go to work for them.
That's pretty bold. That's pretty bold of you, man. You're a headhunter.
I didn't have anything to lose. So.
No, I hear you. And you seem to be very focused, and you have a direction you want to move into, and you go after it with a bit of a vengeance. So
yeah, that comes from being a salesman. That's when I was at Pitney Bowes, I had 42 sales reps that reported to me, and when I had my landscape business, there was myself and a partner, and you can be a mediocre artist and a great salesman and make a lot of money, and you can be an amazing photographer and a terrible salesman and not make a dime.
Not make a dime. That's so true. I've been saying that for 45 years. Yeah. So you've only kind of like you had a real job. So did your wife, and you just gave it all up in order to pursue this sort of in midlife sort of thing. And it sounds to me.
Yeah. I bounced around a little bit. That's kind of, I had my landscape business for 8 or 9 years in East Texas, and left that. And then, did a couple of different things in corporate America because I had that history with sales and had successful sales record. But I just got really tired of corporate America and playing those games and
all the bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Your website, your channel here says it perfectly.
Yeah.
All the bullshit.
So you strike me as an artistic type. As soon as you said, and then artistic / business type, as soon as you said landscaping business, that's under the same umbrella as chefs,
right?
Hairstylists, fashion designers, interior decorators. They're all very creative and not just doing things by technique alone.
Right. But I would say, I'm definitely the harder I've worked in the last 3 years on my technique, my ability to create what I'm thinking has gotten so much better.
Cool.
I would call myself more of a technical artist. I have to learn the techniques, and I'm just not someone who sits down and draws or paints or something like that. So.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing that you've really gone on this journey, and you haven't really been a professional photographer, meaning you've been earning your income primarily in photography in a successful studio where you're selling prints to actual clients. Not that long, really, under 10 years, right?
Well, I mean, I was at the magazine for 8 years.
Yeah.
And then I left for a year, still did some seniors, did some small stuff. And then now we've been back in this studio for, I guess this will be our 9th Santa season. So 8 years.
Okay, cool. Yeah. The reason I bring all that up, there's a primary reason. I want to get into some of the conversations you were having in the, was it Doug Box? Did I get that wrong again?
The Gary Box, it's a Facebook group called Inside the Box.
Yeah, that's where I found you. I want to get into that in a minute. Gary Box. Sure. I think Doug Box is also a photographer. I remember.
I remember the name rings a bell at Doug Box, but I could look him up on Facebook.
Gary Box he's from Texas, right?
Tulsa. I believe he's up near Tulsa. I don't remember. It's a little city outside of Tulsa, just south of Tulsa.
Yeah. Anyways, my main point is this. You're doing some cool stuff. You got some cool ideas and you strongly believe in them. And I've been at this game a long time. I'm 64 years old, and what, there's this thing I call CBS, calcified brain shit. You get your set in your ways.
Yep.
Right. And you get stuck. And then along comes the new guy. And I'm going to call you the new guy, although you're not really the new guy. You've got a lifetime of experiences, and you're very artistic, and you're very brash and bold and strong in your opinions. And you can come along and say, hey, this is the way I see things.
Yeah.
This is the way things ought to get done. And I like that, because sometimes that's what you got to do. You got to go with the new guy to sort of say, okay, where are we going here? What are the possibilities, and what have you? So, and all that exciting stuff. So let's lead that now into the conversation that you had at the Gary Box Facebook group. And you probably have similar comments and or postings in other groups as well.
Yeah.
And your primary sort of thesis, so to speak, is that there is an application for AI insofar as it helps you create spectacular images that are very artistic for your clients, or something to that effect.
Sure. And not just images, but absolutely. Yeah.
You have a workshop coming up at some point, I believe.
Well, we just wrapped one up, two of them actually. We wrapped one up day before yesterday. That was a physical workshop in my studio, teaching a group of photographers from all over the country how to do what we do with Santa.
Nice.
And that started on Thursday, and then the night before, Tuesday and Wednesday, was the last 2 nights of a 4-night series on using AI and Photoshop together. And so with kind of an intro to AI there was, I think, 32 photographers that were in that group. Cool. And we got them all set up using AI, and then started showing them how to integrate those elements into their work and do different things. And it was a lot of fun. I learned just as much with them as I think they did with me.
That's pretty cool. So you're teaching, and if anybody's interested in tagging on to more of what you have to offer, they can just go to your website, Magic Makers.
Yeah, they can hit us through there or through Facebook. Wherever. We run a big group. It's got about 4,000 members in it, called Catch the Wednesday. It's kind of based around fantasy photography for children. So that's a group that we head up and do some free education in and such too. That's
cool. So, all right. So, anyways, okay. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of what you're doing with AI, if you don't mind. If you can give us a synopsis. And
sure. So, and the one thing I'll say about AI is, the minute that you think, okay, I think this is how I'm going to use it, there's an announcement the next morning, and it totally changes. It's
all right.
I mean, I don't even know where it's going to go. And I think first, what I want to put out there is what I try to tell everybody when I'm using it, or was in my workshop, is we all have to decide from an ethical standpoint how we use it and what we use it. There's a big debate, and I do believe the courts will have to at some point come along and either regulate or decide. I know the thoughts that some people believe that they're stealing images that are copyrighted from other artists. There's those that feel that what the robots are doing, or what the AI is doing, is it's looking at the data in those images, and it's learning from it. And this is the way I perceive it. It's going out just like I go to a Norman Rockwell museum, and I look at all of the images, or I get on websites and I look at all those images. I look at the styles, I look at the techniques, and then I try to do work in that style. And so the thing is, with AI, it can look and learn a million times, hundreds of million times faster than we can. So it's learning it. It's not copying the image, but we'll see what the courts say on that. Well, for me, what I want to do, and what I feel we should embrace as photographers, is now what I can do is I can create almost any scene. And it's not an easy process, but I can create scenes. Then I can have a client come in the studio. We can rent a dress. We can do hair and makeup. We can treat them like a little princess and photograph them, and they do all those things. And then I take that scene that I created in AI, and I modify it in Photoshop, and I change it to give it the looks that I want. I clean up things that it didn't do very well. I put the client into that scene, and then I blend them together with, currently I love doing kind of a painting technique on a lot of stuff. And so then I completely repaint that image. And we've got a really cool piece that where we can do it now is we can do it very efficiently. where to do something like that in the past, it might take me, if I even had the skill set to do it,
Right.
2 or 3 weeks to build that scene in Photoshop.
Yeah.
And I can't charge a client what I need to make if I spent 60, 70, 80 hours. But now I can spend a few hours in AI, and now I can create something that I can make a profit off of.
Yeah.
It didn't take me 70 hours to create this image. So
do you tell your clients that it's efficiently? And
I've talked to my clients about it, and they say, okay, we don't care. The client, at the end of the day, the client doesn't care. And I think there's a big difference. I know that a lot of artists, what they don't like about AI is someone is, and to use their words, well, someone's just going in and type up a bunch of words and coming up with an art piece, and they call it themselves a photographer.
Right.
That's not what we're doing here. What we are trying to do and teach is, here's a way that you can take your offering to another level by photographing your client. And really what AI is for me is nothing more than a custom stock photography site.
Right.
That's really all it is. But I can tell it, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Try this, try this, try this. I'm trying to create stock images. And all of us as photographers have used stock images for years to add elements or things to our photographs. How are we going to find a fantasy castle in the McKinney, Texas to photograph for a kid that wants to feel like a little princess?
Right.
So to me, it's no difference than going on Kate's backdrops and buying a backdrop of a scenery with a castle in the background and using that. You didn't shoot that scenery, but
that's exactly right.
It's basically the same thing. You're just using a digital version instead of a physical backdrop.
That's right. Yeah, and the most of the people that I have intense discussions with about AI, and they're really against it, they've never tried it. They've never created an account. They've never gone on and done with it. It's not as simple as you think to go in and create a scene and have it in a few minutes. I've got an image that I did for a high school senior who's a jazz musician, and it's actually sitting over on my easel right now. We're embellishing it, but it took me 2 days off and on to finally get the scene by changing the words and doing the different things. And then I still had to go in and remove some things and change some things to put him in it. So it's not like you just type one word and all of a sudden you've got this perfect.
Yeah. You're talking about prompts, right?
That's correct. Yes, that's what we call prompts.
So listen, there's a lot of resistance. You just mentioned there are those,
Sure.
And and I remember back in the days of digital, there were a lot of photographers, and there's no way. I remember a local camera store guy. He says, "No way, I'm going digital," and he owned a camera store,
right?
And he eventually just had to close his doors. I mean,
well, one of my favorite artists, and she was my very first mentor. Y'all probably know her. You've been around the industry a long time. Fran Reisner. I love Fran. I don't know if you know that name or not, but Fran was
I recognize it. Yeah.
Yeah. Fran was one of the top photographers in our industry, in Canon of Light or Canon Light of what, I don't remember what they're called. But she's professionally trained. She was to me, she was easily the top photographer in the Dallas market. And she was resistant. I don't know that she was resistant to shoot digital, but she was resistant to how much Photoshop was changing images and things. And she just chose she didn't want to go down that path. I made a commitment to myself when I walked away from the magazine, and I kind of quit shooting for a year, only enough to pay the bills. Was that I'm almost a 60-year-old white guy, right? We're the ones that everybody, they say that, a lot of people say they're the ones that everybody hate. We've got the least chance of success or whatever. And I don't buy that. What I did was I made a commitment to myself to always be relevant. And so that's why I do print competition. I spend a lot of money and time on education every year. I'm not afraid to try new things. We rebranded our studio in the last 2 years to now call it Magic Maker Studio instead of Chris Fritchie Studios, because I'm trying to brand a name instead of this old guy.
Right.
So that's really important for me, is education and getting in print competition, because it challenges you to stay relevant to the industry. Relevant's
a big word. So are you doing mostly the Santa or Santa's a part of the mix of the entire picture?
The Santa's a big part of what we do. And in the last 18 months, the education of Santa there's been a really high demand for us to teach. And so we've embraced that. My wife was an assistant principal at a high school. She's got her master's in education. And so it's a good fit for us to educate. And we love to educate. But Santa is probably, if I count the education, it's probably 65-70% of our annual income, maybe a little more than that. But we've got some other things that it's funny because as much as I embrace AI, I believe I know there are photographers that are going to lose their jobs or lose their careers, but the Industrial Revolution cost people careers and jobs, right? So, but we feel very confident that we've got a plan that will make us weather that storm, and we'll be here. And I'm not worried about AI taking my job or something like that. I may lose some headshot clients, but nobody's paying rent. Not very many people, maybe Peter Hurley, but there's not a whole lot of people paying rent just on headshots.
It's back to your point, you're confident you're going to be relevant.
Yes.
So that's fascinating. So this Santa thing, I mean, Larry Hertzberger, we had him on last year, and he was, I think, one of the forerunners, the initial pioneers in the whole Santa experience. So it seems to me that in two ways, you're doing those types of themed portraits and experiences in your studio and teaching a lot. So that tells me it's really expanding. And to this day, it still blows me away that people want to get a Santa portrait and they spend thousands and thousands of dollars on it. So
it's Lori, why don't you grab our
Maria's that way too, is Hertzberger and Maria.
Maria. It's funny is not really funny. I love Maria. We've had some great conversations, especially several years ago. She called me because she felt her Santa program wasn't being as successful, and I said, I'll tell you what, you helped teach me a little bit about fairies, and I'll just share with you what we do. And in our workshops, the first thing I always tell my photographers is, I'm not going to tell you the right way to do anything. I don't even know if I'm doing it the right way. All I'm going to do is tell you how I'm doing it. And then that if you want to do it that way, great. If not, take a little bit, learn a little bit, and then kind of go from there. But I Maria and I had some great conversations, and I think I helped her a little bit, and I know that she helped me. So my belief is what we are. We're the tide. Myself, Chris Smith with Ivy Photography, the Bensons out in Oregon or California, wherever they are, kind of known as the high-end Santa photographers. And I believe that we need more photographers doing what we do, because then it'll become the norm in the community, kind of like senior portraits did for a long time, where, well, gosh, if everybody else is getting their senior portraits, I guess I got to get mine done.
Yeah.
If everybody's doing these more high-end experiences, well, then more people will seek them out.
True.
So
that's true.
We produce, we're an ambassador for H&H. But when they spend the kind of money they spend, they're buying albums that are family heirloom albums that capture, crazy cool moments. I wish some of my students were on. The number one thing we teach is it's an experience. And when we do it, literally, it's a play that Santa and I put on. We put on a play. We've got a script that has naturally evolved, and we are having a riot with these kids and mom, and they're loving it. We try everything we can not to have the client come in for a review the same day, because we want that kid going home and telling mom and making fun of mom how she was on the naughty list, and how the kids in our sessions, how they saved Christmas, and they just wear mom out. But putting mom and dad on the naughty list was probably the greatest thing we ever did, because mom will walk in and she goes, "Oh my Lord, they just will not leave me alone about me being on the naughty list." And so what's happening is those kids, how often does a kid come home from a family portrait session and talk about it for days?
Yeah, I know.
It just doesn't happen. And I tell stories. I'll tell you a really fast one. The sweet little girl, she's probably 4. She had her Santa session on Saturday, and she's in Sunday school the next morning. And her mom told us this in the review. She said, "You're not going to believe what happened." And little Pippa was in Sunday school, and she just wouldn't be quiet. She just wouldn't be quiet. And the teacher said to her, she said, "Pippa, if you don't start behaving and stop talking, Santa's going to put you on the naughty list." And she stood up in her chair and she said, "Oh, no, he won't. I saw the list. I saw it yesterday and my name was on it." But that's, we love creating those type of things.
Yeah. The experience, like you said, that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Do you have, do you want to share your screen? Do you have some images you want to show?
Yeah. I mean, I can share, let me pull up.
I think it's important.
To accidentally pull up a boudoir session or something here.
That's okay. We've seen it all.
Right.
Yes.
Be good to see some images sort of visually explained for those who are sort of like on the fence about the AI thing and or want to see what it is you're referencing.
So I can show. Let me see if I can figure out how to.
Yeah. If you go down to present,
hit the present button,
and then share screen.
Okay.
And then it should have a couple choices there and tabs that you can share.
Oh, let's see. It's making me allow you guys to. Let me go to my settings and make sure the security says that it's okay for me to share that.
Oh, we lost him. He'll be back.
Is he gone?
Yeah, he just totally went out. He said that might happen, remember?
No, but I think he accidentally kicked himself
maybe.
off. But he said his internet's been sketchy. So
Yeah, so I'll just tell him to click that link to come back in.
Bum. There we go. Can you see? I'm sharing his screen. All right, his website.
I see it now. I'll just bring it in there for you.
Yeah.
Isn't that gorgeous?
This is the kind of stuff I want to ask him about.
Yeah.
And obviously the Santa pictures. So.
Oh, there he is.
And he's back.
Yeah, sorry. When
you knocked yourself out.
It quit. It turned off the browser. So so now it should. Let's see if it does it now. Okay, share screen. And you know what? Well, I don't want my entire screen. There we go. I think it's
because you can do the tab or you can do window.
I got it there. Okay, so
there we go. I see it now. Yeah, I see it.
So this is one of the pieces that we recently created. We've kind of promoted here and there. I'm trying to see if I can. Let me pull up one of the PSD files, the early ones. I don't even know which one, but
that would be cool.
So let's see. Let me see if I can. Well, the problem is what I do is when I'm editing. Sandra Pierce, love her. I don't know if you've ever had Sandra on.
No.
She has educated so many of us. She taught me a technique when I was working and stuff, and I saved my projects in versions. Version 1, version 2, version 3,
right.
4. Even though my history brush is set to like 600, or my history state, it makes it where I can go back and, if I look at it the next day and don't like it, I can just go back and start over for those 2 or 3 hours. So
right.
Give this just a second to hopefully open up. But what you'll see here while that's trying to open is, and do I still have you guys, don't I?
Yep. We're with you.
Yeah. So we had a little Claire. Claire is actually the daughter of Mary at H&H Color Lab in Kansas City. And so we were teaching a workshop on marketing up there with Jeff Poole. He runs Lead Savage. We do some stuff with them for our marketing. And so we had this dress that your fairy godmother sent to us. And we took it with us up there because the model that we had here was sick and we didn't get it shot in time. And I knew I was going to teach this class and I'd already kind of started working on this background. So we stayed an extra couple of days after the workshop ended. And I photographed little Claire here. And then we took this scene and played with it. And let me see if I got it here. Where's my layers? Let's see. So let me turn off some stuff here. So so this was the original that's not even the original background that came out of Midjourney is what I used. I've already removed some elements that were over in this part of the screen here. If you can see that, let me make this a little bit larger here. So there were some items over in here. And then I believe, so then what I did was I just came in and I knew that this pathway wasn't good. She was just going to be too little. And I also, if I put her here, I didn't like what was going to be going on with the background. And I wanted her over in here in this third, because I've kind of got the castle over here.
Right.
So I just took and selected this, made it bigger, kind of
Nice.
worked it and played around with it. And then I merged the two. So here you can kind of see where I also enhanced a lot of what's going on. If you look on the bottom left, you see I made the rocks and stuff look like they were kind of over the top of the ground or whatever. And then this is the shadows for her. And we've got her in here. And so this was what version was this? This was version 3. And I went all up to version 8, working on it. So
working it.
Yeah. So here she's not really painted into the scene yet and all of that kind of stuff. So, but that's a lot of what it was. And this is kind of what it ended up being. But it probably took me, I don't know how many attempts in Midjourney using it. Let me see if I can even pull that up to create that scene. Let me pull up Discord so you guys now have y'all played around at all with Midjourney or any of those things?
I have, yeah. I went and tried a bunch of my fairy images and just sort of playing with it, trying to understand it. So I'm at the kindergarten grade 1 level.
Okay. Well, what's weird?
I understand it.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on with my Discord, but it's not showing my main server in here. Come on. Bear with me here 1 second. So I'll just pull this over where this was actually, come on, computer. You know, so this was some information from when we were doing the class. And so I created a server that the students could look at. I can change this. Yeah, that's weird. I do not know why. Oh, you know what? I know what's going on. I am in one of my students' accounts. So let me do that because we had at my other deal, that's what's going on. She couldn't get hers to. Let's see if I've got this here. Oh, no, it's not that. All right. Ask me another question while I'm just getting logged here so you guys can.
Well, I was going to make a comment. I watched also, and I just got into this Midjourney thing 3 weeks ago through a buddy of mine who started playing around. And I watched a bunch of videos on YouTube as well. There's a lot of resources out there. People will show their images and they'll show the prompts they used.
Absolutely.
And I've been saving that sort of stuff. And prompts, if you don't understand prompts, is really, really simple. But you had mentioned earlier, it's the key or sort of one of the keys to getting things to come together in an efficient way so that you have good results. And maybe we can sort of touch on that in a second.
Yeah, and come on,
it's not saying you're you.
It is not saying it's because there's got to be free
capture
glows.
stuff, I hate that. Yeah, I hate that.
I know it's ridiculous. Yeah. Okay. We'll figure it out here in a second. I don't think it's liking my password. Is what I don't think.
You probably didn't type it in properly.
Okay. Well, we'll worry about that in a minute. There's the prompting and is man, it just takes a lot of practice and a lot of study,
right?
To try to get everything, to tell it to do what you want. Here, I know I can do this, and I can pull this up where I've saved a lot of stuff that I've produced or created in Midjourney. Let me pull up Binder. That's going to be easy because I know I've got that saved over here. So if I've got things here that, so here's something here's one right now that we're working on. So this is a scene that we did. And this is one that we're working on in our class. We're doing another follow-up to it tomorrow night. And I've got Claire in a different dress here in the center. I've got her granddad. I took a picture of him. So now I found a night suit that we've got armor that we're putting up here and like he's guarding her. Then we removed this door and replaced this whole inside here just so because I didn't like that brightness behind her. I'm working on all kinds of things. So let's see what this one is. So here's one where I really just typed this in so I could get me a cobblestone path that I'm using a different image. So you see, I'm using it to a lot of times just to create stock images that I can use. And a lot of it sometimes it's just playing around with it.
Is that the gist of the AI program? Is really you're creating images that are for you, as you mentioned, stock images. They're really digital backdrops, aren't they?
Yes, and absolutely, we will be releasing some of these that we edit and we change and we manipulate, we will be making those available as backdrops.
Right.
So this is a project that I'm working on here.
Okay, cool.
I've got a kid that we do an annual hockey kind of extreme image. So I was trying to come up with something to put him in a scene that was kind of cool. And let's see if I've got the one that we settled on. No, I guess I don't have it in here. I've got it in his folder. But I was trying to come up with kind of a dynamic frozen scene. Then him standing there with his hockey stick and that kind of stuff. So
a little dystopian, a little futuristic or whatever.
Yeah. And so here's another one of the castle ones. This one, the subject would be too low down in here for my liking. So it's like, okay, well, maybe I can take that cobblestone path, or maybe I can cut out this part of this walkway here and then lift it up and then figure out how to get my pathway so it looks more like the bridge is higher coming over to here. So those are some of the things that it's just not that easy to get it exactly the way you would want it.
Yeah.
But it's a lot better than spending days looking for images in, Adobe stock or Shutterstock or whatever.
Yeah.
And let me add this. So, or you can ask a question first. And I honestly think for our business, this isn't even the most powerful part of our business.
Okay.
This is the original version. You see, it had these funky looking chicken things in here. I have no clue what they are. Yeah. But so let's just do this while we're in here, right? So I'm just going to drop this in here and I'll show y'all, because that new version of Photoshop came out yesterday. And I've been playing with the beta, but man, you go in here now with the remove tool.
Yeah.
And it's just unbelievable what that remove tool can do. And who knows, it probably won't do it right here, but
I saw a video on it yesterday and it was amazing what it was doing.
Yeah. So you just kind of come in here and do that. And it's just,
I think it was Christian Shirk or whatever was showing a video.
Yeah. Yep. I can't think of the guy's name. He's one of the developers. I follow his YouTube channel. So I don't know. I'll have to see if I can find it. So
which tool is that specifically? Is it a new
one?
Remove
tool, and it's only available. It's only available in the beta. No, actually, now in the latest version of Photoshop that came out yesterday, it had been only in the beta version, but now it's available in the current release. So you can see that it's pretty cool. It's
pretty good.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it with just some weird looking chickens, I guess.
It's a similar way of content aware, but it does different algorithms and stuff.
Yeah, and it just, so far me using it, it's been hit and miss. This is literally the first time I just updated Photoshop this morning, and this is the first time to play with it inside. I mean, that did perfect. Like, I don't know what these little weird splashes are right here. Those I remember taking those out.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah. So have you ever done a piece of art for a client and you created a backdrop and the idea was, I'm only going to create this for you, I'll never use it again?
Absolutely. I've got a project I'm working on right now that was it's about a $5,400 order for this client, and I can just show you real fast what we're working on. In fact, it's when I told her I'd try to have it done this week. And so let's see if I can get to her deal right here. And so this is, let's see if I don't remember which one we're working on here. So this is an image that it's not done. This was kind of the first sample image that I was doing with them. And so when her and her husband were married, Lori, how long ago were they married? Probably 8 years ago, Jacob Smith. They had a kind of a 1920s theme to their wedding.
Oh, really? And
so they wanted to do something kind of fun. I told her how I was experimenting with AI, and she loved the idea. So I bought this prop that they're sitting on. It's sitting in my studio a couple of years ago, and I'd never really used it, but I wanted to do some kind of little travel scene with it. And we got some old suitcases. So I photographed them basically on a green screen, and I've been working to build what looks like they're in an old trade station.
Yeah.
And so we've got a collection of images that we're doing for their wall that definitely have a painterly effect and everything. And this was just the trial one that I said, hey, let me work one up pretty quick and I'll get it to you. And let me know if you like the path that we're going down. And she loved it.
Right.
And so what's crazy is not just the not just creating that background, but I also used a new program, a new software called Evoto, EVOTO, to touch up their images. It's amazing. I mean, I no longer have to spend hours doing touch-up work. I can do one in a matter of seconds.
Really?
And it cost me about 7 cents an image to do it versus having, if it's just the traditional, skin touch-up and all that stuff, and you're paying your assistant $15-20 an hour to do it, and she can do 8 or 10 images if she's good. Now I can do 100 images in just a couple of minutes. And
really,
is
it a software plugin, or is it?
It's a standalone software. So it's and that's another type of AI that's out there. Well, everything is asking me for my password today. Something must have happened on my but Evoto, I don't get paid for them. I'm not a spokesperson for them or anything like that. It's just I'll do most of my touch-up work in there.
Really? I'm going to check that out. Never heard of it before. And it's you said something relevant about 30 seconds ago, that it's sort of I think it's going along the same path as AI. It's almost like it uses AI to
It does. It is an AI-based software to do editing. I mean, you can change everything from, you can fix a double chin in about 1/10 of a second.
Yeah.
You can do all of those things in Photoshop. You can do all of those things in Lightroom. Lightroom's got all those masking things that you can do, and you can save your presets for that. But I just tried that, and it was just like, okay, this is just unbelievable how quick and how fast. And you have different styles that you can save, create custom styles if you want one. I've got one that kind of, probably the easiest way to think about it is like if you did an extreme denoise on someone. So when I'm taking a painterly image, I'll just kind of run a couple of denoise filters, like over exaggerate it. Right. Put that over the person, and that gets it that creamy kind of look. So we're getting close down that painterly look just by adding that, and then you take it to another level. But that's not the most powerful way that we use AI in our business.
No.
Let me. I don't know what that wants to. So Chat GPT. Let me just say that I was thinking, hey, let me show you an example of what we're doing, but I'm not ready for the whole photography world to know about that specific project that we've got coming up. But, we use Chat GPT more than we use Midjourney or something like that.
Really?
So we switched to using Lead Savage back in January or November, maybe, of last year. And basically all it is it's just a software tool that's built by a photographer, and it's geared towards photographers for your marketing. Where we were using MailChimp, we were using an SMS text messaging program. We were using all of these different programs, Facebook ads. We were using all these different programs to communicate to our clients. And then they would reply back, and they're like, okay, well, one came from this doorway, one came from this doorway, one came from this doorway. We had funnels, and you lose, like, where did we get that person? I saw something pop up on my phone, but I can't remember where they were. And you spend 5 minutes trying to figure out where they were to reply to them. Well, Lead Savage puts all of those things into one tool, and then no matter where the client communicates from, it comes up on our app on our phone. So I can't even tell necessarily, but it's all consolidated. But the cool part is now we can do email drip campaigns. We can do SMS text messaging. We can easily, Lori can in a matter of minutes say, hey, I need you to communicate to anyone that's ever expressed interest in a workshop. Send them an email and do this, and then send them a text message to let them know we just sent them an email. But drip email campaigns, that is what is mind blowing. I'll pull that up and just show you a little quick example. If you really want to, if you want to change your world really fast, go to Chat GPT. I'll share my screen, and I'll do a little quick sample of it. But that's really where, if I totally respect that some photographers don't want to use Midjourney or create images. No problem. But what they should be doing at least is using Chat GPT. If something cleared out all of my browser savings, all of my passwords. Okay, we're almost in, and I'll share my screen. Or have I shared my screen yet?
Not yet, no.
Come on. But to do all of my marketing, Oh my Lord. Okay, now we're in. Okay, so I thought I hit share. Where's the share button?
You did hit share, but it's like whatever screen you're sharing, it's just your windows there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks pretty confusing. Let me just move that away.
You can share just that tab if you need to, if you have it open on a tab.
There it is.
Okay, there we go. So this is ChatGPT, and the subscription costs us about 20 months. And so I would say this. So I want to write so your subscribers check into your email, right? Or you're checking. Let's just hypothetically say that you gave them a free ebook through your Facebook page or YouTube or whatever you say. I run a YouTube channel to where I interview photographers. Please create me 8, or let's just do 3 emails to convince viewers to come and hear Chris Fritchie being interviewed. Right, it's pretty simple. And then let me make sure I get the name of my channel is NoBS Photo Buzz. Make this sound exciting. Okay. And then I hit enter, and in a matter of seconds, now I've got here's the emails that are being sent out. Right, and they're all written and I've got, look, it's got my name in it, it's got your name in it. I've got these, and now Lori we look at them, make sure there's nothing that's wrong. Boom, we drop those into an email campaign, and we schedule this one to go out today. We schedule this one to go out in 2 days, and we schedule this one to go out. Add one more email that is a reminder. The interview is today, right? So now it's going to write me one more. Today's the day. Join us for an epic interview with Chris Fritchie, right? Okay, and now write me 3 SMS messages promoting this. Make them short, right? You don't want to do a whole bunch of long messages.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So now it's join no photo for instance. So anyway, I think you get the point.
Yeah.
Now I can create any type of content, and I can do it in literally seconds that people have been paying marketing companies, thousands of dollars to create. And you're crazy photographers if you aren't getting a software that can now manage your marketing, because if you don't do it, I'm gonna be doing it. And if you're in my market, we're going to be a lot better in contact with our students.
When I first heard of Chat GTP, I immediately thought of copywriting, and I've been using it for the last 3-4 weeks because it's embedded now in Hootsuite, which is my social media marketing, and it's embedded in there. It's like, this is so cool.
Yeah,
and it does an amazing job. But let me bring up a point here, Chris. Sort of the elephant in the room.
Sure.
Yeah, the death of our industry, quote unquote.
Yep.
I was telling this to my wife a couple of weeks ago. Or months ago. I said, AI's coming. I said it might be a massive game changer. Worst case scenario, somebody has a cell phone, can take a snapshot of their kid. Boom! They got these amazing fairy portraits.
Yep.
It does everything. That's what we do. We do a lot of fairies.
Yeah.
And okay, so that's gone. Maybe not. You had mentioned something that's relevant, and that's sort of the point I want to talk about. And that is the fact that it's the elephant in the room. Now, the one example and corollary I gave her was back in the 90s when video cameras they turned into digital cameras. Mm-hmm. They were no longer analog tape. And the idea was you can grab any one of those images. You could get a wedding shot on video, and you grab any one of those images and make a print.
Yeah. That
was the idea, and that was the fear. And I said, and this is my point to this day, that's fine. Most people are too lazy or lack the drive or have greater reasons with which not to do that, and go to guys like you to have you create something for them. Well, I'm afraid to say a lot of photographers will look at the Chat GTP thing, and you could use it. Like I do 3 blog posts a day, every day religiously, and I've been using it a lot, like 90% of my, I go and tweak them, but it's doing the copywriting for me, and it's amazing. But I fear most people just won't actually do the work. So
and Rob, between you and me, I hope they don't.
Yeah, it's
because I'm going to, and I want their.
So am I.
I want their clients.
So it's an advantage if you do use it, and for those who are finding themselves in the category of those who find it fascinating but won't do anything about it. Yeah, maybe it's a wake-up call.
Yeah.
And
it took me a year to embrace it. At first, when it came out, I was just like everyone else that was, it's not real art. It's not this. Or I come up with a million reasons why I felt that I shouldn't. And then I just kept the thing that did it for me is Lori typically comes in later than I do. I typically come in a little bit earlier, so I can edit and do things and kind of have a quiet time for me.
Yeah, I get it.
And I was trying to learn some stuff on YouTube. I don't remember what it was, but I got so sick and tired of the commercials. I said, I'm just going to pay for the $12 a month or whatever it is. And so now what I do is, instead of necessarily, unless I have a specific project, I wake up at 5 or 6 in the morning. I just can't get back to sleep. And I just find a subject on YouTube and I just hit play. And I just sit there and I'm on my phone a little bit, maybe answering emails, maybe playing on a poker app or something. But I've got the YouTube running in the background now every morning for a couple hours. I'm spending 2 hours every morning learning something new. And sometimes it's cooking. Sometimes it's see, I do a good job of that.
You just described me to a T.
Yeah, that's
it's like an obsession. It's like an addiction, but it's a good addiction.
But because it's making us smarter. I don't have the pay. I get too sleepy when I just read something. So I need somebody, screaming at me for me to learn.
I watch a lot of recipe shows now. I can't believe it.
Yeah. So I'll throw out
cooking.
There's that master class. I don't know if you've seen the advertisements for that. And I bought it because I'm kind of on my little hobby right now. I've always got to have some kind of hobby. It's playing online poker, and it's spending real money. But Daniel Negreanu, I've always loved him as a poker guy. And his personality is a lot like mine, and so his masterclass, #1 masterclass, and I joined that app, and now I'm watching Gordon Ramsay do stuff. There's all kinds of great stuff on that.
Yeah, I've purchased a bunch in my day, and they're pretty good. Have you ever seen the one where they spoof? What's that? Greta Thunberg.
No, I've not seen that.
Google it. It's a spoof of her doing a master class.
Oh, that's hilarious.
They do a commercial with highlights from the actual class.
Right.
It's hilarious. You got to watch it. You're going to crack up.
Like my wife just said, it's not going anywhere. So you better figure it out.
Yep. Better figure it out.
Yeah. Well, and who knows what, I think some limits will be put on it, but I think those that think we can put this horse back in the barn are sadly mistaken. So I would never lie to a client.
No,
I would, and I stress this too. Follow the print competition, and the people that have taken an AI image and entered in a photo contest and they won, and then they told about it later. All they're doing is being dishonest. So you have to live with yourself. And if you use elements in AI and it tells you not to, shame on you. You'll know that you shouldn't. And I do believe, and PPA is really stepping up, even though, Photoshop is obviously all in with AI. PPA announced their new IPC this year or in February or what have you. And I really like that, at least in the photo competition part of it that exists now, which is separate from getting merits to your degree. They're saying that the artist has to create all the elements. So there's no more artist category. You can't use stock images. You can't. And I'm fine with that. I think that's great. There needs to be places for that, but that doesn't mean AI is bad. There's places for AI as well. If you want to use AI and creating image and how you blended it and did all those things as an artist, there should be a category for that as well. Just be honest with what you do.
I could see it creating a stronger divide between the average consumer, like when I was growing up and coming of age as a photographer up until about 15 years ago, there was about 12 full-time studios in my city, and they're all gone. There's a handful now, couple of like ladies who run a business, and their husband's the primary breadwinner.
Yeah.
But back in the day, that was usually a mom and pop, and they had a nice car, a nice house, and they raised their family, and that was the sort of the landscape of what the photography world was all about. And now it's more, I'm on the fringes. I'm still running with a, storefront bricks and mortar place, and we're doing pretty good, but I've had to constantly stay on top of my game. I was one of the first ones to embrace digital in the year 2000, went 100% digital where nobody was doing it. And it just skyrocketed our business. We went crazy. So now there's this new technology, and that's going to push guys like us out to the other fringes even more. You have to maintain relevance, like you said earlier, relevance being such a key word. But also, would you not think that sort of the guy who's shooting the high volume stuff too would sort of like still be relevant because of the nature of what they do?
Yeah. So when you say high, so kind of your day school guys, or the people that are just shooting your quick stuff,
hockey tournaments. John does a lot of dance schools and whatnot.
Yep. Yeah. That's not going anywhere. I mean, there's I don't know that I want to share this. I mean, we're looking at getting actually into, so what we did, one of the things that we did that was pretty cool with our Santa program, that we recognized that, we're trying to land 125 clients each year with our main Santa program. And it's getting harder and harder to advertise on Facebook. And you got to spend a lot more money today than you did 4 or 5 years ago to have garner some kind of success with it. So what we're trying to do is actually grow our volume business, is now becoming a part of our boutique business. So we contracted with the city, and now we run their mall type Santa program in December. And they last year did about 750 sessions. And now we can market to them to try to use those as a kind of farm system to feed our higher end stuff. And I want to do the same thing. Now I want a different division that goes out and shoots some day schools. We're focusing on kids. So I want 5 or 6 day schools. I don't want to do it. I'm going to pay somebody to do it, but I want to shoot those day schools. So that now I can definitely market to them and build a relationship with them and convert them into coming to our Santa sessions. And some of the other sessions we've got coming up, we actually are working on the set right now. We're keeping it a little hush hush until it's fully out there. But we think it's going to be a game changer. Once we get it, you may want to have me back. We think it's going to be a game changer. For us, it'll be. I think eventually it'll be as big or bigger than our Santa program.
That's amazing. So you're embracing and sort of creating a hybrid approach to not only niching, but you're sort of going in different niches, and one's going to feed the other. You're going to be able to attract those who are in the 750 Santa session. This is in a mall type thing. They want you to go in there.
It's in our downtown community. It's $50, $50 to $125 for the full thing, 5 minutes. And so now I've got 750 people that I know want Santa pictures taken a walking distance, 100 yards from my studio. Is one of the, we're considered one of the better Santa photographers in the country. So now we're working on we're using Chat GPT, and we're about to launch a big campaign to all of those 750 to promote our Magic of Santa sessions. That's literally, I was writing the emails last week of an email of about 8 different emails to introduce them to our Magic of Santa. That's
very cool. So you're always thinking, Chris.
I'm always, gosh.
You got to stay in on the ball at all times and constantly be innovating and looking for markets with which to.
Yes.
I mean, it's an obvious one for you. Obviously, it's right there, both physically and within the realm of what you do. So one will not, like, it's in brand extensions in the corporate world are typically a bad thing. That's why Toyota invented Lexus. They didn't invent the Toyota Plus or whatever. All these car companies created a new brand. So typically it's not a great idea. Are you going to rebrand the name for the, say, high volume, or is it going to all?
I don't know. The one that we did for the city of McKinney already had its name, and it had its trademark called Santa on the Square.
Okay.
So But then when they go to the website to register now, it looks very similar to what it always did, just kind of just a bone dry website. But it says Santa on the Square by Magic Maker Studio.
Right.
So, you know, and then we own the trademark, the Magic of Santa. So people don't use the Magic of Santa. I hate having that phone call with someone when they're using it. But, you know, I think we can brand Magic Maker Studio, but we have different levels. You know, one of the things that we do also for marketing is, you know, our Santa clients, it's not uncommon for somebody to spend $4,000 or $5,000. I wish everybody did, but you know, we've got some that'll spend $400 or $500. But we also set up some really what we call quick takes each month, where it's $100. You get 2 5x7s. We don't care if they spend another penny.
Right.
We're also rewarding our clients that spend a lot with us. Look, every time you come see us, we don't have the expectation that you're going to spend thousands. So you can come get some decent, good quality images, like the Easter stuff. It's $100, and they get a digital file and they get some 5x7s. But if we can get 20 of those in each month, then it's my wife's job in the sales room to try to get them to book a Santa session or to book one of our other sessions. Yeah, exactly. That's a lot easier to try to market and get people in for $100, and then they see our studio, get to know us.
She's doing that now.
Yeah,
and what's your hit and miss ratio of?
You know, our teaching has gotten in the way of a little bit of it, but I would say that we're running about 20%, 15 to 20% of those that come in for the $100 session end up booking us for another one.
And they're an obvious and easy sell.
Yes. Yeah. Not everyone does. You know, some of them say no. They look at it. They can't afford it, and that's okay. You know, I don't mind having a 10-minute session, and the part where we're really, really skilled at is being efficient with our editing processes. I'm always looking for efficiencies. And most people would be, I don't even care who you are, they'd be pretty blown away how efficient we have gotten our ability to edit Santa images and things like that, and the techniques that we use to do that.
Yeah.
Rob's like that with the fairies too.
Yeah.
Minutes to do a full edit, but it's a very key point. Otherwise you go crazy. And if you're not able to be comfortable in Photoshop as a photographer, I mean, outsource it and get somebody to do it.
Yeah. I do no extractions. I don't do it unless it's an emergency. No, I outsource all that kind of stuff. It's too cheap.
Yeah. So let's have you back on again, maybe in 6 months or so. I'd love to do a follow-up at some point in time.
Yeah. Hopefully by then this one that we're working on right now, my wife and I went shopping at all of the home stores and stuff to buy props and buy materials to build a set that hopefully we'll come back and be blown away by the success of it. And as long as I'm the first one to do it, I'm okay with that. And then everybody can copy it if they want. Just pushes me to get better when someone else is doing it. So
I hear you. That's pretty good. Well, I really appreciate you joining us for this
definitely
1 hour
I've
conversation.
I enjoyed the discussion on AI.
Yeah, it's very relevant. So I'd love to have you back. So what do you think, John? We're good to go. We're just a little over an hour and an hour and 4 minutes. And
awesome. I appreciate it.
I'm glad you came on.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't say, thanks to H&H. When you guys spoke to me and you mentioned, I think I saw your deal and I saw that Sal was on there, and Sal is very involved with H&H. That's who our top selling album, that they're not top selling, but our most expensive album is about $4,500, and it's from the Sal Kinkade line, and it's amazing.
Nice.
H&H and Lead Savage and Your Fairy Godmother, they're a big part of your vendors become a huge part of your success. And if you're just thinking there's someone who they better get you that product by the time that they said they would, or you're mad at them, if that's the relationship you have with your vendor, I'm sorry for you, because our vendors make us a success as well by promoting and doing that.
Very true. All right. Thanks again. We're out of here, and appreciate it. I'll put the replay up and I'll send it to you. Anybody who wants to watch.
All right. Hopefully if y'all go to imaging next year in Louisville, we'll see you there.
Yeah, maybe I'll be there. Never know.
Okay.
Right.
Maybe we'll do a live show from there.
Hey, that'd be fun. Absolutely.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, guys.